Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing out there in paradise today? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bob, and I'm in a maximum security prison somewhere in the United States. I came to prison when I was 14 years old, and I've been in prison for 46 years now. In a prior video, I told y'all that I escaped 7 times during my incarceration. So I figured that today I'd tell y'all about one of the escapes long time ago. But before I get into that, I wanted to also tell y'all that I've posted some poetry over on the community section of the channel. So for those of you that like poetry, there's some in there, and I know there's been a lot of comments from people that don't like it. If you don't like it, don't read it. That's all. Also, a lot of people wrote to me in my email, and I had some problems with it, and a lot of emails got deleted, so there's a couple of people that I probably didn't respond to. If I didn't respond to you, just write me again. I'll get you this time, I promise. I'll put the email address in this video somewhere. And finally, don't forget to go visit Chad Marks on his new channel called Blood on the Razor Wire TV. It's a fabulous new channel, and he's got some videos up now, and he's coming up with new content several times a week. So I encourage all of y'all to go over there and subscribe to the channel and support it. Alright, without further ado, the escape. So, I was very young at the time, and I was in a cell block where I came up with what I thought was an ingenious plan. That I was going to make a handcuff key and escape. So, what I did was, the first thing I had to do is, because I had previous escapes, they made me wear shackles anytime I left the cell. And so when they would take me out to take a shower, I can't remember how many times a week it was now, but when they would take me out to the shower, all I was allowed to wear was a t-shirt and boxer shorts. They would put shackles and cuffs on me. When they get me downstairs to where the showers were, they would take the cuffs off, but they would leave the shackles on me. And so I had to shower with my drawers on and wash them on me. Well, what I did was I took an extra bar of soap down there with me every time. And it took me 2 or 3 tries, but each time I did, I went down there and I had already pre-softened the soap up a little bit, and I would just push it down in the keyhole of the shackles so that I could make an impression of the keyhole, because I needed the key that I was going to make to be exact. So after going down to the showers, I don't know, 3-4 times, I finally got enough impressions that were good enough that I could proceed with making the key. So what I did was, we had a TV and a radio in the cell block, and they had big long antennas on them, so I took the radio antenna and I broke that thing off. And then, if you recall, on the antenna, it's various thickness of tubing till you get to the top. And the top is one solid like pin. So I took the pin, and that was the perfect size to stick in a piece of the tubing and then squeeze it around it to make that pinhole. You know, the little pin that's in the inside of the cuffs. And so I used that, and then the second piece down from that was just big enough to fit down in there. So first thing I did was I took that long piece and I took the solid piece, stuck that inside of it, and then I put it in my mouth and bit all the way around it. sticking out, and it would fit right over that little pin in the cups. So I worked on that for maybe a day, two at the most, and finally had it shaped right. And then all I had to do to file it down the way I needed to. Anybody knows what a handcuff key looks like. It's got a little piece hanging down like that, and when you turn it, hanging down like that, and when you turn it, it unlocks the mechanism. So what I had to do was file this stuff down because it was too big since I had squeezed it. So anyway, I just used the bed, the edge of the bed. I just scraped it on that and filed it down until I got the lip right. And then I went and once I had the key made, I went down to the showers again, took the key with me to test it. First time it didn't work, second time it didn't work, but by the time I did it the third time, it was perfect. So now I got my key. So now I got to get somewhere out of the jail to where I can use the key. So back in those days, we used to have like pine sol and bleach to clean the cells with, liquid bleach. So I came up with an idea. I got a piece of metal that was about 4 to 5 inches long. I think it was about 4 inches long. And I covered it in butter, and I forced it down my throat. It got caught for a minute, but I swallowed that damn thing. Once it went down into my stomach, I told dudes in the cell, say, look, tell the police I'm trying to commit suicide, and that I swallowed a bunch of metal and drank a gallon of bleach. And so they were like, okay. So right before they called for the police, I took one mouthful, I just took a little bit of bleach and put it in my mouth and swashed it around and spit it out right before the police came around the corner. And then the dudes in the cell said, man, the dude tried to kill himself. He done drank up all the bleach and ate some metal. So they snatched me out the cell, and when they got me out in the hallway, they start trying to question me. And I'm ignoring them, so they tell me to open my mouth. They want to smell my breath. And I won't open my mouth. So when I went to open my mouth, one of the cops just punched me in the stomach, right in my solar plexus. And I couldn't help but go, And when I did that, they smelled that bleach. Yeah, that bleach was real strong smelling. So they believed the guys in the cell. So they take me to an outside hospital. Get to the outside hospital, and they do x-rays, and they see the metal inside of me. So they come and they sedate me, and well, first of all, they wanted to do surgery on me, and I refused to let them to do surgery. So then I agreed to let them sedate me and put these tubes down my throat, and in one tube there's a camera on the end of it, and the other tube has got this little like 3-prong claw, And what they're going to do is they're going to go down in there with the camera and the claw and try to pick it up with the claw and pull it out. Well, that didn't work. So they admitted me into the hospital, and they had a cop there to guard me. Over the course of 3 or 4 days, me and the cop, it was a big ward. And they had some prisoners there from the jail and some free people, And I'd be shackled and handcuffed to the bed. One arm would be handcuffed to the bed and one shackled. But the cop, he was a new cop, and he would always come over there and talk to me and, try to be friendly with me, And I'd be telling him, oh man, I'm getting out real quick, I'm just here on a bogus warrant, I'm gonna get out, no problem and everything. So, one day, somebody came up to visit. Can't say who it is, but he actually allowed them in to see me. So I told them what I was going to do, and they were concerned that I was going to get shot. And I was like, look, man, this is going to be easy. I showed them the key and I showed them how to open it. But when I opened the cuff, it broke the damn key. So I was in bad situation there. So just so happened though, the very next day, luck was on my side, and they took me back to the jail. When they took me back, first thing I did when I got in the block, grabbed an antenna, went to making another key. This time it only took me a few days. So I made another key, and once I made the other key, I told the police, I said, look, I'm hurting terribly from the metal inside of me. It's killing me, you know. I'm feeling like I'm in bad pain and everything. So they send me back to the outside hospital. And again, they admit me, only they're going to wait to see if it's going to pass, and if it don't pass, then maybe do surgery. So I'm back in the same bed I was in, and the same cop is there with me, and the only difference is, when that friend of mine came to see me that day, a few days earlier, they gave me $20 in cash, and I stuck that back in with me. So when I came back this time, I had the money with me. So I had noticed down in the lobby of the hospital, they had cigarette machines and vending machines with food and newspaper machines, stuff like that. So one Friday, no, it wasn't a Friday, I don't remember what day it was, but anyway, one day, I asked the guy when he came on shift that night, I said, look, man, we go down to the vending machine and get me some ice cream. And he's kind of hemmed and hawing, you know, because he didn't want to leave his post, you know. I'm like, come on, man, you don't have to pay for it. I got money here. And I gave him a couple dollars, you know, told him to get something for himself, too. He bid it, and he went for it. So as soon as he left, another person, a free person that was in the ward, I had been talking to, and he came over and started to talk to me when I was undoing the shackles on me, and he saw what was going on. And he turned around to leave. I was like, no, man, stand out there in the hallway and watch for the cop, you know. So he did. He watched for the cop while I got my cuffs off. I got them off, and I took off. There was a bar right down the street. I ran into the bar, and I used the phone and called a taxi. And I had a stepsister, and she lived close by, so I figured I'd try going there, because I had gone there when I escaped once before. My previous escape, I went and I stayed with her for a few days. So I went to her house, and she said, sure, you can stay here. You've been running all your life. You know I'm not going to deny you. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I stay there overnight, and the next night, the house gets surrounded. It's the police. But what I had done the previous day is I had climbed up in her attic with a saw, and I cut one of the, I don't know what they're called, rafters or whatever. She had in one of the bedrooms, there's a drop closet, and so I went into where the drop closet was up there in the attic, and I cut the rafter over it, and I screwed a hinge onto it so that you could raise it up like that and then let it back down. And that way, if the police came, what I could do is get up in the attic and drop in that box in the drop down, and the boards would all look right in there, you know, if they looked up in there. And sure enough, that's what I had to do that next night. The cops surrounded the house, and I climbed up in the attic, and they came in and looked around in the house, didn't find me, and they left. She convinced them that I would never come there, that she hated me, blah, blah, blah. And so they went for it. But the next morning, when I came out of there, there was some other people that had spent the night over there. They were partying that night. And one of the dudes was like, yo, man, you need to go, man. You're going to get her in trouble. You know, you need to get out of here, you know. And so, you know, I took heed to it. And me and my stick man, he was there. We left. Only he went home, you know. We walked and hitchhiked, you know, about 10 miles across town. And he went home and left me. And, you know, like I said, I was still real young then. I had nowhere to go. So I walked down to the beach, and I just walked down the beach, you know, and later that night, I was up on what they would call the Strip, you know, where all the clubs and everything are along the beach. And I was up there, and I was walking down the sidewalk, and I saw a cop car approaching real slow. Both the cops inside of it were looking at me. So I just look at all the little shops along here at the glass. I could watch them in the glass, and I'm acting like I'm looking at them. And then all of a sudden I see the car stop. So as soon as it stops, I know they got me pegged. So I book it. I went down the alley, came all the way around the other end, and I had lost them. But you know, they had got on the radio and everything. And when I came back up on the street, there was hundreds of people up there. And somebody stopped me and was like, what happened? What happened? I said, I don't know what's going on back there, you know. And I blended into the crowd. I took my shirt off and stuffed it down my pants. And there was a drugstore right next to there. I walked over to the drugstore to try to go in there, and I was going to hide in the roof inside the drugstore. But it was closed. It just closed like 5 minutes earlier. So I was stuck. So I start to walk down the road, the sidewalk a little bit, and I don't get a couple of steps, and all of a sudden I get tackled by 2 cops from behind. They drag me out into the middle of the street and start beating the shit out of me. And all the people seeing it, like I said, there was hundreds of people out there. You know, they almost caused a riot because they start hollering at the cops, you know, leave him alone, he didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. And a cop car pulls up. They throw me up against the car, and then they turn my feet up. Instead of me standing on them, I'm like, the top of my feet is on the concrete. And they're taking their billy clubs and beating the hell out of my heels, trying to break my feet so that I don't ever escape again. Well, they didn't break my feet, but they sure beat the hell out of them. And so they caught me. And when they get me back to the jail, you know, the cop that was on duty when I escaped, he had been fired. And so all his buddies, they beat me unmercifully beat me. And there it is. I got caught. Fortunately, they didn't prosecute me. They just wanted to get me out of there, so they sent me off to another facility. And that was the end. I didn't get no time for that one. I got lucky. Actually, most of my escapes I didn't get time for. I got some for a few of them, but most of them, they just didn't want me in their facility no more, so they shipped me off somewhere else. So, there you have it. So, all you youngins out there running around thinking you're badasses and everything, don't think that you're too young to come to prison. I was 14 years old when I came in here. 14 years old. That was 46 years ago, and I'm still in here. Most states, there's no age limit. And they will prosecute you as an adult. And don't think you're going to go to no juvenile facility either. I went straight from jail to the penitentiary. 14 years old. You don't want to have to deal with that, let me tell you. You don't. So stay in school, get an education, do the right thing, and have a good life out there. Paradise is where you want to be. That's where you're at now. This shit here, this is hell. You don't want no part of this. So do the right thing and have a good life.